Welcome to Week 3 of Hospitality Industry Law. This week is titled, Consumer Protection and Building a Lawful Hospitality Enterprise. If Week 2 explored legal responsibility when things go wrong, Week 3 shifts our attention to something equally important: how to build and operate your hospitality business lawfully and sustainably from the start. In hospitality, success is not measured only by occupancy rates and event bookings. It is measured by legitimacy, compliance, consumer trust, and governance integrity. This week is divided into two interconnected parts. In Part 1, we explore consumer protection in hospitality, particularly within the South African and emerging market context. We examine the Consumer Protection Act, the 8 consumer rights, enforcement structures, and the role of alternative dispute resolution. In Part 2, we move from protecting the consumer to structuring the business itself. We examine how to build a hospitality enterprise in Africa, how to choose the correct business entity, how to register a company, and what governance structures are required for lawful operation. By the end of this week, you will be able to 1. Critically analyze consumer protection legislation and self-regulatory mechanisms applicable to the South African hospitality industry in order to evaluate their role in promoting fair, ethical, and compliant business practices. 2. Evaluate the rights and protections afforded to hospitality consumers to given scenarios in order to assess compliance and propose legally sound responses. 3. Differentiate formal and informal consumer complaint and dispute resolution mechanisms within the hospitality sector to determine appropriate forums for redress, enforcement, and consumer protection. 4. Evaluate business structures in South Africa to determine their suitability for hospitality entrepreneurship and management needs. 5. Analyze the role and functions of the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission in regulating hospitality business formation and compliance. 6. Distinguish types of companies regulated by the Companies Act 71 of 2008 based on ownership, liability, and governance requirements. 7. Apply legal knowledge to complete statutory documentation required for hospitality business registration. 8. Analyze relevant sections of the Companies Act 71 of 2008 to determine their implications for lawful hospitality business management. 9. Analyze legislative compliance requirements regulating the lawful establishment and operation of hospitality enterprises. You have one graded assessment that counts 5% towards your final mark. This week, you have to complete the following interactive activities. Ensure that you complete them all on time. Remember to comment on your classmates' posts the day after each discussion deadline. Let us begin with the consumer. Hospitality is a service industry built on trust. Guests often pay in advance for experiences they have not yet received. They rely on advertising, reputation, and representations. In South Africa, where inequality and credit dependency patterns are prevalent, expectations can be high and financial vulnerability significant. The Consumer Protection Act exists to ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability in this environment. As a hospitality practitioner, you are not merely selling rooms or meals. You are participating in a regulated consumer marketplace designed to protect dignity and prevent exploitation. The CPA introduces 8 fundamental consumer rights that directly affect hospitality operations. These include the right to equality in the consumer market, the right to privacy, the right to choose, the right to disclosure and information in plain language, the right to fair and responsible marketing, the right to fair and honest dealing, the right to fair value and good quality, and the right to accountability and redress. In practice, this means your marketing must not mislead. Your cancellation policies must be reasonable. Your service delivery must match what was promised, and your dispute handling must be structured and fair. Consumer protection is not about granting entitlement. It is about regulating fairness in transactions. Consumer rights are meaningless without enforcement. You also need to understand the role of the National Consumer Commission, the National Consumer Tribunal, and the courts. Alternative dispute resolution, also called ADR, particularly mediation, is often more appropriate in hospitality contexts. Knowing the place of ADR is essential in the hospitality industry. A public dispute damages reputation. A mediated resolution preserves relationships. As future hospitality leaders, you must think strategically about dispute resolution, not reactively. We then shift from consumer rights to entrepreneurial responsibility. Building a hospitality business in Africa requires more than vision. It requires structure. Emerging markets are characterized by volatility, infrastructure challenges, and economic inequality. These realities increase both opportunity and risk. Entrepreneurial failure often results not from lack of passion, but from weak governance, poor compliance, and inadequate financial discipline. Hospitality businesses collapse when structure is absent. One of the most important decisions when starting a hospitality business is choosing the correct legal entity. Your choice determines how risk is allocated. Once a company is registered, it becomes a legal person. Directors are not merely managers. They are fiduciaries. They must act in good faith, in the best interests of the company, and with reasonable care and skill. Board meetings must be documented. Decisions must be transparent and good governance must be evident. The Companies Act of 2008 also provides for certain committees to ensure sustainable business practices and outputs. The Social and Ethics Committee monitors social responsibility, labor practices, consumer relationships, and environmental impact. The Audit Committee oversees financial reporting and internal controls. These mechanisms embed accountability within the organization. In hospitality, where reputation, sustainability, and financial transparency are intertwined, governance structures protect long-term viability. Finally, you examine the broader compliance framework. A hospitality business must not only register with CIPC, it must comply with municipal zoning, health certification, tax registration, labor legislation, and, where applicable, liquor licensing. Without compliance, your business operates on unstable legal ground. Week 3 ultimately demonstrates that consumer protection and corporate governance are not separate topics. They are interrelated. As you begin this week, reflect on your own future role. How will you protect your guests without undermining profitability? How will you structure your business to withstand legal and economic pressure? How will you embed governance into daily operations? Hospitality law is not about restriction. It is about building institutions that endure. Let's go.